Scooting together, Brian Custer. We're here with you for the next hour.
Yeah, Team USA, they play tonight. We got full coverage of that. But we got to begin with some breaking news in the NBA. Our Shams Charania is reporting the Hornets trading LaMelo Ball to the Timberwolves. Now, Charlotte gets a former sixth man of the year in Naz Reid, a 2033 unprotected first-round pick, 3 first-round pick swaps, and 3 second-round picks. Minnesota, which also gets Josh Green, now has a former All-Star running mate for Anthony Edwards. Let's bring in our senior NBA reporter, Brian Windhorst, for the very latest on this NBA blockbuster trade. And Wendy, this one kind of went 0 to 100 real quick to get done. What more can you share about Minnesota's urgency to put LaMelo and Ant-Man together and give up so much?
Well, we can remember the last time we saw Anthony Edwards was at the end of that playoff series with the San Antonio Spurs, with 8 minutes left in the game, walking down, shaking the Spurs' hands because he knew his team was cooked. And with the urgency to take care of him and get him some help, Minnesota looked into trying to trade for Giannis Antetokounmpo. They probably knew that they didn't have enough to get Jaylen Brown, and so they pivoted to a player that they think can provide a lot of compatibility with Ant Edwards in the backcourt. One of the things that Anthony Edwards had to struggle with the last couple of seasons since they moved on from Karl Anthony Towns was double team, night after night after night, possession after possession. Well, those days are over. You double team him with LaMelo Ball on the court, you will get burned because Ball is one of the most prolific volume three-point shooters in the league. And he's also now going to have something he's never had. He's been heavily criticized in his career for being a poor defender. Well, now he's got Rudy Gobert to have his back. This is a potentially difference-making move in the Western Conference. They still have some work to do to fill out this roster, but a huge move to keep Ant Edwards happy and productive in Minnesota.
By the way, LaMelo's second most threes made in the league last season, and one of 3 players that averaged 20 points and 7 assists per game the last 5 seasons. The other 2, Luka and the Joker. In Charlotte, by the way, re-signed Kobe White to a 3-year deal to replace LaMelo. Let's talk about the Celtics because Brad Stevens said Jaylen Brown remains a big part of the organization, but Celtics still actively engaged in trade talks to move him. What's the latest you're hearing about the Jaylen Brown market?
Yeah, Brian, Brad Stevens said a lot of respectful and positive things about Jaylen Brown, but he never said he wasn't going to trade him. And that's the most important thing to take away from those comments. And at the end of the regular season, they didn't view the loss to the 76ers as a result of a Jason Tatum injury. They viewed it as a result of them not being good enough. And so they made the decision internally that they needed to see how they could alter this roster. And they made the decision that the player to see his value on would be Jaylen Brown, not Derek White, not Jason Tatum. They investigated, obviously, heavily Giannis Antetokounmpo, and they knew when they did that they were probably going to have to go forward and trade him. So they have been fielding offers for several days. It is probably not going to be a one-for-one trade like we could have seen with Giannis Antetokounmpo. It's probably going to be multiple players, but Brad Stevens has a long history of trades that end up working very well for the Celtics, and so now he's got his sleeves rolled up and trying to figure one out.
Yeah, if Brown is moved, he would be just the 5th player traded within 3 seasons of winning the Finals MVP, the first since KD in 2019. You can hear more from Wendy 3 p.m. Eastern today on NBA.
Back on Get Up with breaking news from the NBA from Shams Charania, who joins us here in studio. Shams, what more can you tell us about this LaMelo Ball trade?
Anytime you have Anthony Edwards, you have a pressure to win, you have to pay to win, and this in LaMelo Ball is a big swing for the Timberwolves. Tim Connolly is no stranger to making these types of moves with some calculated risk. We saw several years ago when he went out and got Rudy Gobert, this led to some playoff success. Now you go out and get LaMelo Ball. The Timberwolves felt the last couple of years point guard was a major need for this team, and they actually did look into LaMelo Ball a couple times over the last season, but they finally get him now. This is a high price. LaMelo Ball is at the peak of his value at this point, and last night, near the end of the second round, I started hearing that they were going to be moving potentially LaMelo Ball, because not that they were shopping him, but they were getting several teams inquiring, reaching out, making offers. Minnesota, Toronto, there were others as well. So Charlotte didn't start this offseason saying we're going to trade LaMelo Ball, but the offers just got so rich, as we see here. And there was always a sense, if it got to that point, the Hornets would not be afraid to move on. He's beloved there, but this price, getting Naz Reid, an unprotected first-round pick that's far out, 3 first-round pick swaps, and 3 second-round picks, and Naz Reid fills a major hole on the front court for the Hornets. They've been searching for a big man in the marketplace over the last few weeks, and you get Naz Reid. He plays both ends, can shoot the 3. And for all the chatter about the spending of the Timberwolves, we saw them dump Julius Randle for basically nothing. Mark Lowry and Alex Rodriguez, their owners, now enter the luxury tax with this trade for the 3rd straight year. They get LaMelo Ball, Anthony Edwards reunited because they were the number 1 and number 3 picks in the draft. Ant went number 1, LaMelo Ball went number 3 in 2020.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that are leading to this decision. Okay, first off, Jaden McDaniels was awesome for the Timberwolves in this playoff run they just had. This expands the role for him. This opens up a lane for him that they put him alongside. In Charlotte's situation, the sort of depressed star point guard market is tough. We saw last year the Hawks struggled to be able to trade Trae Young. They finally found a deal for him. Ja Morant has not been able to be traded. LaMelo Ball, because of the injuries over the previous couple of years, it would be very difficult to move a player of his size of his contract. Not just because of the injury issues and whatever. So many teams have their star point guards, and we just saw a whole basket of teams draft potential future star point guards. There's not a big market in the big lane to move to move a highly paid star point guard. For Charlotte to see this avenue, even if they're on the fence 50-50, they have to go for it.
They striked while the iron was hot.
Yeah, and they also have the replacement already sit there, Kobe White, who they traded for last year. Okay. I know Kobe White and LaMelo are very different players, but this leans into the guys that they still have. They now are in position to have financial flexibility to pay Brandon Miller and Kobe White alongside Con Kneppel.
I want to bring in Tim McMahon on this. Tim, what's your reaction to this move?
I mean, this is obviously a move about trying to make Anthony Edwards fully confident that he has a runway to contend in Minnesota. And it was costly, and honestly, not even as much in the return for the trade, but as Sham said, in the money, in the luxury tax. And there is massive risk involved here. LaMelo Ball, as talented as he is, has not proven to be a consistent superstar in this league. He's not proven to be able to stay healthy. He's not proven to be able to deliver when his team's season is on the line. The Hornets have been in the play-in, and they have melted down and not been able to punch their tickets to the playoffs. The difference now is he's got a certified killer alongside him in the backcourt. It is still Ant's team. They need LaMelo to come in and enhance that, not lead it.
Bobby, what does this do to the financials and in the future of these teams?
Well, and it's interesting, and Sham's made a good point regarding the Timberwolves' finances, because when the original trade happened, so this trade is part of the Brooklyn and Chicago trade that sends Julius Randle to the Nets, Nick Claxton to Chicago. When the original trade happened, everybody was up in arms. They're like, wait a minute, is this a salary cap dump? And it's a lesson. There's always a part A, B, C, D to trades. So now you take back basically the equal salary of what you're sending out, and you resign Io, and now you're heading towards the luxury tax. Now, the big question for Minnesota is, when we're getting into free agency, now how do you replace the two bigs? That's going to be their